Hokage Hidden Ace, the time-traveling Hyuga who outshines Madara. Please like, share, and subscribe. Episode 41. As long as Sarutobi Hiruzen still needs him, he will not be defeated. But what he didn't expect was that Sansho Hanzo, who had already been caught, would directly betray him because of an insignificant piece of information. How the news got out. Shimura Danzo didn't care whether he would be caught or locked up. Because he believes that the third Hokage will not kill him, but will only imprison him at most. There is no difference between him now and being imprisoned. It is better to live in peace and stability for a few years. The third Hokage needs him as the black glove, needs him as the scapegoat, needs him as the shadow in the darkness. His comeback and taking power is only a matter of time. Why do you have the nerve to ask? Akamichi takes the wind and wants to give Shimura Danzo a big pussy. After going to bed, Koharu couldn't help it anymore, stepped forward and cursed. Duanzo, we don't care too much if you do some shameful things, but why did you leak the village's information and use it to make a deal with Sansho Hanzo? The village just held an important meeting on the front foot, and the information on the back foot was sold out. You are really willing to give up. It's a pity that you are blind. What's the meaning? Did I see the wrong person? Sansho Hanzo captured the people you left behind and tortured them. They were already dead. Then the old poisoner personally took the bodies to the gate of the border camp and told all about you, in front of several people. The faces of 10 ninjas trembled. Is I really blind? Is this what Sansho Hanzo can do? No. Why, doesn't he care about Rain Shinobi Village and Rain Country? Isn't he afraid that the Rain Country will fall into war? Shimura Danzo couldn't figure out why the person he had already figured out suddenly turned against him and sold him outright. Shimura Danzo still couldn't figure this out. Even though he was taken away by Umbu's people and imprisoned in Umbu's prison, Shimura Danzo still couldn't figure it out. Not to mention Shimura Danzo couldn't figure it out, even third Hokage was confused. But this kind of thing just happened to him. Sansho Hanzo also said that he had no intention of becoming an enemy of Konoha. The question is, can you solve this kind of thing with just a few words? Dragging you down Rain Shinobi Village is the consensus of the village. The peaceful day was broken by the latest announcement from the Hokage office building. When the announcement was made, the whole village was excited. Why did Danzo-sama assassinate the village's ninjas? I don't know. The announcement said that he not only assassinated the village's ninjas, but also leaked the village's intelligence and betrayed the village's interests. How could he do such a thing? As soon as the announcement came out, Shimura Danzo became a street rat with a bad reputation. Everyone in Konoha was eating this big melon, and while eating it, they all praised third Hokage. Shimura Danzo was arrested and imprisoned as soon as the incident happened. This was all due to Master Hokage. As for the outcome of Shimura Danzo, few people care. He has been arrested and imprisoned. Everyone believes that Master Hokage will give him severe punishment. The announcement and arrest operation issued by the Hokage office building directly dispersed all the anger and hatred that broke out among the villagers and the village ninjas. The situation did not escalate. After a while, Shimura Danzo's incident would be forgotten by most people as time goes by. So, no one knows why Sansho Hanzo turned against him? Sarutobi Mishima nodded and said, yes, Mr. Hokage, the other party had no intention of explaining it. He just told Mr. Danzo about Danzo, left the body and left. The identity of the corpse has been verified, and it is a ninja of the Shimura clan. After Sarutobi Mishima arrived at the village, he saw the third Hokage immediately, and then reported the incident in detail. Thank you for your hard work, Mishima. Take a rest, return to the camp immediately, and announce the village's punishment. I can't let Danzo's actions chill the hearts of my companions. If no accident occurs, this matter will come to an end here. In a short period of time, third Hokage will not allow Shimura Danzo to show up, let alone give him a chance to cause trouble. As for when Shimura Danzo can come out in an upright manner, it also depends on when he, Sarutobi Hiruzen, needs the scapegoat and the black gloves. Of course, it also depends on the situation at Senju's ancestral home. Before Uzumaki Mito leaves, it is not appropriate to release Shimura Danzo. Yes, Lord Hokage. Having completed his mission, Sarutobi Mishima rested for a night in the village and then embarked on his way back to the camp. As soon as he returned to the camp, Sarutobi Mishima publicized the announcement of the disposal of the Hokage office building. For a time, many uncomfortable ninjas shouted excitedly. For a time, all kinds of words of praise and admiration for third Hokage filled the camp. Arriving at the medical department, Sarutobi Mishima informed Shizuchi about the announcement and said, "Master Hokage attaches great importance to this matter. In the next time, you can rest peacefully. The captain and I will handle the camp affairs together. Then I'll bother the vice captain." Jingyi politely agreed. I have to say that third Hokage played this skill beautifully. Not only did he gain a good impression, but he also successfully saved Shimura Danzo. Cover this up. Everyone in the village is paying attention to the punishment announcement, and a few people will really care about whether Shimura Danzo's punishment is really severe and whether it is in place. One look at the camp will tell you that this trick works well. When the incident broke out, many ninjas in the camp were very resentful. At this time, everyone was singing the praises of third Hokage with smiles on their faces. It's just a matter of making a brand to offer third Hokage. It may seem a bit dramatic, but the matter has come to an end here, and Jingyi can rest peacefully and wait for the third fetal movement of the Tsangikan to end. The duration of the third fetal movement of the Tsangikan was a bit beyond Jingyi's expectations. He originally thought it would be over in half a month, but it ended up dragging on for more than a month. Shizuchi suspected that the reason why the reincarnated eye's fetal movement lasted so long might be related to the fact that he didn't have the Akatsuki chakra, plus the weakening of his bloodline. When the fetal movement of the reincarnated eye was completely over, Jingyi untied the white cloth covering his eyes, took out a spare mirror from the seal scroll and took a look. I found that apart from my skin becoming slightly whiter, I was not much different from before. There is no difference in appearance, but earth-shaking changes have taken place on the inside. Jingyi's body recovered. For the ninjas in the camp, this is good news, and everyone's hanging hearts are finally relieved. Episode 42. Tailed Beast transfer is on the agenda. Even if Jingyi said that he could not see anything, it would not affect the treatment. But unfortunately, many people are skeptical about this statement. Jingyi can understand everyone's concerns. Anyone who is sick or injured and needs to see a doctor will be worried if they find that the doctor is blind. This is a normal psychological reaction, unless Jingyi really treated people when he couldn't see anything. It's a pity that he didn't get such an opportunity. During non-war periods, conflicts and frictions in border camps are very rare, let alone large-scale battles. Without fighting, where would the wounded be? If someone gets injured without fighting or stepping on a trap, others may laugh him to death. Sancho Hanzo is ambitious, but he is not stupid and will not conflict with Konoha for no reason, so the border camp is very peaceful, and Konoha's ninjas will not take the initiative to cross the border and enter the Land of Rain. The ninjas of Rain Shinobi Village will not easily enter the Land of Fire. Tsunade regularly sends some news and intelligence about the village to the camp using a puppet crow. This allowed Jingyi to understand the changes in the situation in the ninja world. Sand Shinobi Village's provocation and testing of Konoha continues. Although it is just a show every time, it is like a fly circling around you, which is very annoying. In addition to the continued provocation of Sand Shinobi Village, the more important news is related to Kushina. Uzumaki Mito's body was much worse than last year. Uzumaki Mito's health has deteriorated, which is absolutely bad news for Konoha. This means that the transfer of 9 tails must be brought to the table. Transferring 9 tails does not mean waiting for Uzumaki Mito to die and then stuffing 9 tails into Kushina's body, but transferring it before Uzumaki Mito dies. This transfer method can allow Uzumaki Mito to help suppress the power of 9 tails. Without the suppression of Uzumaki Mito, let alone whether Kushina can withstand the power of 9 tails, once Jinchuriki dies, the tailed beast can regain its freedom. It is still unknown whether Konoha can capture 9 tails at this period. There are no ruthless people like Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara. Even if Senju Tobarama bumps into 9 tails, it will be a big headache. Not to mention the third Hokage group. If 9 tails breaks away from the seal, the Night of 9 Tails may happen in advance. At this time, there are no ninjas in Konoha who can fly the Thunder God ninjutsu to transfer the tailed beast Jade. If 9 tails tailed beast Jade explodes in the village, the result will definitely be awesome. After all, after countless comparisons by netizens, 9 tails charged tailed beast Jade is definitely not less powerful than a nuclear bomb, except that it does not have terrible radiation. Just imagine how terrifying it would be if an explosion comparable to a nuclear bomb broke out in a village. A lot of people died on the Night of 9 Tails. This was the result of Xiao Huangmao transferring both the tailed beast Tama and 9 tails. If a war broke out in the village, no one knew how many people would die in Konoha. Although third Hokage is not a very good person, he has one advantage, that is, he is self-aware and does not dare to compare himself with Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara. He knew very well that once the tailed beast ran out, no one in the village could stop this terrifying big fox. Uzumaki Mito is too old. When Nine Tails is in the sealed state, he can still suppress it. Once Nine Tails escapes, even if Uzumaki Mito will not die, he will not be Nine Tails' opponent. Ever since, the tailed beast's successful transfer has become a top priority for the village. Even the provocation and excitement of Sand Shinobi Village can be pushed back. The transfer of the tailed beast means that Uzumaki Mito will die. Tsunade has already been mentally prepared, and Naoki and Kushina may be uncomfortable for a long time. Hope everything goes well. Jingyi sighed and destroyed the scroll passed by Tsunade. Being far away in the border camp, he couldn't do much to help. He could only pray that the transfer of one tail beast would be completed smoothly. Not to mention that he was far away in the border camp and couldn't help. Even if he could help, the F-14 would not allow him to intervene. To them, Jingyi was only half a person after all. They could be trusted, but not completely. Therefore, Jingyi will not be given any chance to intervene in this kind of thing. Kushina, what's wrong with you? Are you in a bad mood? In recent days, the atmosphere at home has become very depressed. Tsunade didn't even go to class and stayed at home with her grandma every day. Kushina's face has lost its smile recently. Both she and Tsunade knew what it meant to transfer a tailed beast. Only the silly boy Shingshu was kept in the dark. What nonsense. Tsunade patted Naoki's head and said in a serious tone of education. Shingshu, when you go to Daming Mansion to visit the Diaming this time, you have to be more honest, you know? Don't be naughty or mischievous in Daming Mansion. In order to prevent Rope Tree from overreacting, the best way is to move him away. This is what Uzumaki Mito means. She hoped to bring the Rope Tree back after everything was over, and then tell him the truth. I know, why is it so bad? Naoki curled his lips dissatisfied, because he didn't want to go to Daming Mansion, but his grandma was old and couldn't leave the village, and his sister Tsunade had something to do and couldn't leave, so he had to go to Daming Mansion as a representative. You deserve a beating, right? Tsunade's face darkened. This kid, give him some sunshine and he will start to shine. Danger. Noticing that her sister's expression was wrong, Shingshu quickly shut up, did not dare to complain, and continued to eat honestly. As for why Kushina is in a bad mood, we will find out more when he comes back from Daming Mansion. When we go to Daming Mansion this time, Jilai will go with you. After giving her brother a small warning, Tsunade still gave a little sweetener, which was to send Jiraiya out and follow the Rope Tree. Although Jiraiya was unreliable on small things, at least he was not vague on big things. After handing the Rope Tree to him, Tsunade felt relieved. The only thing I'm unhappy about is that this guy would take the Rope Tree to peek at other people taking a shower or something. Jiraiya's bad nature cannot be changed. What made Tsunade most angry was that Jiraiya couldn't change himself and even damaged the Rope Tree. Thinking back to the stupid and clear eyes of my younger brother before, and then looking at my younger brother now, well. I just hope that when I grow up, I won't do the same thing as Jiraiya. Real? Now she was so excited that he dropped his chopsticks on the table. Tsunade's head was full of black lines, really, but if you follow him and mess around, you will be dead. I promise to be obedient. I will never be naughty. Rope Tree various guarantees. His assurance made Tsunade even more worried. Naoki was just being naughty. If he listened to Jiraiya, he might cause some trouble. They are all lawless masters, and they will definitely do no good if they get together. However, the Rope Tree has a special status, and no one in Daming Mansion can touch him except the daimyo. It will undoubtedly fuel Rope Tree's arrogance. Episode 43. The new Hokage assistant, Uzumaki Mito, falls. Finally being able to go out and play with Jiraiya, Naoki was so happy that his nose was filled with snot. Although he admires Orochimaru, he likes to play with Jiraiya the most. Because Jiraiya will not dislike him for being naive and will take him with him in everything he does. Except when he would leave the Rope Tree behind when he was helping the poor little sister, he would take him with him for everything else. After going back and forth, the Rope Tree was very sticky to Jiraiya. The village moved very quickly, and now Shu soon followed Jiraiya and took a group of people and gifts to Daming Mansion. The village has also begun preparations for the transfer of Nine Tails. The location where Nine Tails was transferred was Senju's ancestral home. Uzumaki Mito dragged his old body, hugged Kushina, and comforted her softly. Don't be afraid, kid. Grandma will always watch you grow up in heaven, good boy. You, Grandma Mito, I can't let you go. Kushina cried so much that her eyes and nose were red. Her big, beautiful eyes were filled with sadness and her eyeballs were bloodshot. Silly boy, Grandma can't bear to leave you, but this is our fate. Don't be sad. Grandma has wanted to go down to find you, Grandpa sent you, a long time ago. Without me by your side, this old man will definitely be dishonest. Under the constant comfort of Uzumaki Mito, Kushina gradually stabilized. Tsunade, who was wandering outside her ancestral home, was in a very irritable mood, but she couldn't break in because she needed to be responsible for a corner of the seal. Like medical ninjas, sealed ninjas are also treasures of every village. Tsunade's apparent identity is a medical ninja, but in fact she is also very talented in sealing ninjutsu. Privately, he still works to seal ninjas. Monkey, let's start. Outside the door, the new F4 group is waiting here. With Shimura Danzo imprisoned, Akamichi took the place of Shimura Danzo. Although he didn't want to stand out, Uzumaki Mito didn't allow him to hide at home. That's right, after Shimura Danzo assassinated fellow village ninjas and leaked village information, Uzumaki Mito did not cause trouble for the third Hokage. Just making a suggestion. The suggestion is to let Akamichi take the win to replace Shimura Danzo and become the village's Hokage assistant. Akamichi is personally unwilling to take the lead, because if he takes the lead, it means that the Ino, deer, and butterfly family need to be forbearing and keep a low profile, and he doesn't want to get involved in many things in the village. He is afraid of trouble, and he doesn't want third Hokage and others to do it without conscience. All kinds of bad things. However, Uzumaki Mito would not give him a chance to choose and directly dragged him out. Put the fat guy Akamichi Takafang in the position of Hokage's assistant. The assistant Hokage, who controls the medical department and the wood industry medical system, can be said to have great power, which has invisibly weakened many of the rights of the third Hokage, transfer Koharu, and Mito Manabu. Before the tailed beasts were transferred, Akamichi was pulled out and forced into the position of Hokage's assistant. At the same time, he assigned the medical system to his control, forcing the three Ino, Shika, and Butterfly families to move closer to Tsunade. Whether you like it or not, old lady, I'm going to put you on a shelf. After experiencing Shimura Danzo's nonsense, Uzumaki Mito gritted his teeth and made targeted arrangements under Tsunade's persuasion. Tsunade's reason for persuading Uzumaki Mito is also very simple. Grandma, if you don't think about me and Shinshu, you should at least think about Kushina. When Kushina becomes Nine Tails Jinchuriki, the old man's character will definitely make Shimura Danzo come out. What will Kushina do then? Third Hokage and the others grew up watching Mito Uzumaki. Shimura Danzo was small-minded and ambitious, and Mito Uzumaki knew it all. She had no idea at first, but finally she was moved. Tsunade and Naoki have special identities. Even if Shimura Danzo comes out again, there is nothing they can do, but what about Kushina? You know, Shimura Danzo has always had a tough attitude towards Kushina. Then a fat man who just wanted to hide at home and study food was unlucky. He was forcibly placed in the position of Hokage's assistant, the medical system was forcibly divided into his hands, and the three Ino, Luka, and Butterfly families were forced to lean towards Tsunade. After learning about these arrangements of Uzumaki Mito, Akamichi was dumbfounded. He almost knelt down with various excuses to beg his grandfather and sue his grandmother, but Uzumaki Mito did not give him a chance to refuse. Now Inagacho is leaning towards Tsunade, and Akamichi Kaifeng is placed in the position of Hokage's assistant. He is still a powerful Hokage assistant. Even if he wants to give up, the three families behind him will not allow this to happen. He, Akamichi Tofu, and Inagacho have completely marked Tsunade. As for why Tsunade would make such a suggestion, someone who was dawdling in the border camp said that everything had nothing to do with him. He just gave a small suggestion. Who knew that Uzumaki Mito was so courageous? That night, Senju's ancestral home was heavily guarded and crowded with people. The people in the village knew nothing about all this. According to the recollections of some villagers, they heard a roar similar to that of a wild beast in the middle of the night. The transfer of the tailed beasts went smoothly. Kushina's talent was very good. After mastering the unique sealing techniques of the Uzumaki clan, and with the help of Mito Uzumaki behind the sealing formation, she successfully suppressed the Nine Tails. Poor Nine Tails had been sealed for many years. He only had time to take a breath and roar before being sealed in Kushina's body again. Uzumaki Mito. damn it, damn it. In the sealed space, a big fox bound by chains roared angrily. As the big fox struggled, the chains kept making clashing sounds. However, the suppression force of the chains was too strong. No matter how Ninetales struggled, it was of no avail. Like Wood Style and Sharingan, the sealing techniques unique to the Uzumaki clan are inherently capable of restraining tailed beasts. Even though Kushina is still a child, she can still suppress Ninetales steadily after Ninetales was successfully sealed. It's different from the seal from Naruto's time. During Naruto's period, young Ninetales could lie down and rest leisurely in the sealed space inside Naruto's body. In Uzumaki Mido and Kushina, Ninetales can't even think of resting peacefully. Each and every highly targeted chain will tightly lock Ninetales, from head to Ninetales, not even a single place is left. Pass. Kushina was too small, and she was worried that Ninetales would cause trouble, so she tied her tightly, causing Ninetales to become upside down in the sealed space. With its butt facing up, its 9 tails were tightly tied with chains, and its 2 hind legs, making it impossible to move. The 2 front legs were tied to the torso, and the head was pressed against the ground at a 90-degree angle. Not only was this position extremely embarrassing, it was also extremely uncomfortable. Ninetales yelled angrily, no matter how much it scolded. Kushina, who was very sad after losing Mito Grandma, ignored it. Even if Ninetales' struggles make Kushina uncomfortable, Kushina still had no intention of making Ninetales feel more comfortable. Episode 44. If you can afford the price, I will show you the puppet I made. Because Uzumaki Mido told her that big foxes don't want to be beaten. If you are nice to them, they will take advantage of them and kick their noses in the face, so they need to be more ruthless. The obedient and sensible Kushina followed Grandma Mido's instructions and directly gave Ninetales an upside down. Uzumaki Mido's burial was carried out in a low-key manner on the 3rd day after the tailed beast was transferred. Except for Umbu and a few people, almost no one knows that Ninetales has completed the transfer and Kushina has become the new Ninetales Jinchuriki in the village. Compared with the villages that are facing a change of generations, the border camps are still the same. The endless rain and the invisible sun. There is no need to go out on patrol or on duty. Even if it is boring to stay in the medical room, it is better than running around in the heavy rain. Stop anyone who comes. Noticing a man wearing a black raincoat, with his head and face covered by the raincoat walking towards the camp, the ninja on duty stopped him immediately. The stopped ninja stopped, raised his hand and took off the hat covering his head. Orochimaru-sama? After confirming his identity, the ninja on duty relaxed his guard. Sir, come to the camp. I'm here to see Hyuga Jingyi. I have some personal matters with him. Orochimaru smiled at the ninja on duty and explained his purpose. Even though Orochimaru usually doesn't have a good attitude towards Jiraiya, when facing outsiders, this guy always has a smile on his face, giving people a feeling of being closer to him. Only those who are familiar with the details of Orochimaru know that this guy is Lion Majesty, the kind of Lion Majesty who may eject at any time and bite you. My lord, please. Orochimaru wanted to see Shizuchi by name. It was a private matter. The ninjas on duty would not dare to stop him. They would let him go directly after confirming that it was him. Orochimaru arrived at the camp unimpeded. Jingyi, long time no see. Haven't seen you for a long time. Jingyi didn't expect that Orochimaru would come directly to the camp. This is the cargo this time. Taking off his raincoat, Orochimaru took out a scroll and a list. Jingyi picked up the list and took a look. Good guy, I have to add another debt to my debt. If this continues, Orochimaru will become his big creditor. The kind that owes a lot of money. After confirming that the amount was correct, Jingyi put the list on the table and said frankly. Orochimaru, I'm very satisfied with the goods you brought. Unfortunately, I don't have that much money now. I'm afraid the money I owe you will continue to grow. It doesn't matter, I believe you can pay it back. Even though the money he owed was increasing, Orochimaru was still confident of being Shizuchi's creditor. The main reason is that Jingyi has a high income and a good reputation. Since the cooperation, even if he owes a debt, he will pay back part of it as soon as he has money. If it were Tsunade, Orochimaru would decisively terminate the cooperation to avoid getting deeper into trouble. One more bad debt at the end. I will find a way to pay you back as soon as possible. Jingyi doesn't want to be a deadbeat. He is the kind of person who wants to pay back money as soon as possible. However, Orochimaru has delivered too many goods and the debt has grown too fast. In addition, he was stationed in a border camp, so he had fewer opportunities to make extra money and could only rely on his salary to pay off his debts. There's no rush. Orochimaru smiled and shook his head. Can I see the puppet you made? Suddenly, Orochimaru made a rather rude request. Jingyi collected too many materials and purchased a lot of other materials and parts, but he almost never took out the puppet. So Orochimaru was curious about what kind of puppet Shizuchi was making. If you think it's rude, forget it. Orochimaru added with a smile. Well, Orochimaru, you are playing backwards to advance, until I am Hyuga Shizuru comes forward, right? It's really rude, and I'm worried that you won't be able to accept it. Whether it's rude or not, usually if the other party is dissatisfied, he won't say it to his face, but Jingyi just said it outright. He even said something that made Orochimaru's heart itch. Oh? Orochimaru automatically ignored Shizuchi's words of excluding him and asked with interest. What kind of puppet can I not accept? To be honest, I am very interested. As long as you're interested. Jingyi also smiled. It's best if you are interested, I won't show it to you anyway. What's the meaning? Shizuchi came out unexpectedly, and the smile on Orochimaru's face faltered slightly. Well, this is the Orochimaru I remember. Orochimaru's breath changed and became cold. Jingyi nodded with satisfaction, stood up, poured 2 glasses of water, and pushed one of them in front of Orochimaru. Eliminate the debt, give me 5 million taels, and I will satisfy your curiosity. The puppet is just a transitional power on the surface of Jingyi. Although the attack methods of the reincarnation eye are not as many as the reincarnation eye, there are many. The puppet is just a transitional power on Jingyi. At the appropriate time, he can be released to let everyone know that he, Hyuga Jingyi, can control some special puppets. As for whether he would be targeted, Jingyi didn't care about that. Before the third fetal movement of the reincarnation eye ends, he needs to keep a low profile and pretend to be a grandson. Now that the 3 fetal movements of the reincarnated eye have ended, and the control of the reincarnated eye is constantly improving, why should he keep a low profile? If you keep a low profile, you will really become a grandson. Turning over some cards appropriately will only benefit him. After the debt is wiped out, I still need to give you 5 million taels before I can see the puppet you made? Hyuga, are you sure you're not joking? As long as you can afford it, I guarantee you won't be disappointed. Interesting. Orochimaru didn't know where Shizuchi got his confidence, but his itch was definitely scratched. At this time, he didn't care about the debt or the 5 million taels, he just wanted to know the secret of the puppet. If the debt is wiped out, I can send 3 batches of materials for free. Orochimaru is willing to spend money for things he is interested in, but he really has no money now, so he changed the conditions. The debt was settled, and materials were given free of charge 3 times. As for the 5 million taels, I'm sorry, I can't get it, and I'm short of money myself. The materials need to be of the highest quality. Just hunting some powerful creatures is nothing to Orochimaru. So happy to cooperate. Jingyi put down the cup in his hand, raised his hand and waved. Under Orochimaru's confused gaze, a crow fell from the sky, flew into the medical room, and landed on Shizuchi's arm. You can only look at it, but you can't tear it down. He grabbed the puppet crow and threw it to Orochimaru. Shizuchi reminded him to look again and again, but don't be itchy. After grabbing the puppet crow, Orochimaru's first reaction was that Shizuchi was playing tricks on him. But soon, this idea was extinguished by Orochimaru, because Orochimaru had noticed something special about this crow. Episode 45. Orochimaru changes research direction. No heartbeat. That's right, the puppet crow has no heartbeat. No matter how much it looks like a living thing, a puppet is still a puppet. Jingyi will not root all his thoughts on the puppet. After all, it is just a transitional thing and not worth his too much thought. The smile on Orochimaru's face completely disappeared. Is this a puppet? Right. Jingyi deliberately picked up the cup with his hand and showed Orochimaru a clear look to confirm that he was not controlling the puppet. Like a living creature, but a puppet, and not controlled by chakra threads. Orochimaru's eyes suddenly lit up. This puppet was worthy of his in-depth study. Get it? Although he wanted to take the puppet away, Orochimaru endured it. After all, this puppet still belongs to Jingyi. I just showed it to him and didn't ask him to take it away. If you want to take away this crow puppet, you may have to pay some price. Ha ha ha, I did see the right person. Jingyi-kun, you are an interesting person. I also feel like I'm having fun. Jingyi raised his hand, and the puppet crow broke away from Orochimaru's hand, jumped onto Jingyi's palm, and tilted his head to look at Orochimaru. Be sure to dig into it. Being looked at curiously by the puppet crow, Orochimaru felt his breathing become rapid. The puppet is actually alive. This is amazing. Orochimaru, who has always longed for eternal life, feels that the door to his new world has been opened. Such puppets must be captured, at least one must be captured. After thinking for a moment, Orochimaru was about to speak, but Jingyi said first, I am short of money. This is not a joke. Jingyi is really short of money at the moment. Even if Orochimaru's debt is wiped out, he will still be short of money. In addition to paying off Orochimaru's debt, most of his money was used to purchase various materials and parts. These things are not cheap. It can be said that Jingyi's entire family fortune was invested in the puppet. From the time he started making puppets to now, he has almost forgotten how many puppets he has made in total. In short, there are a lot of them, at least several hundred. Jingyi plans to work hard to gather another batch of puppets to create his own puppet army. If you have the opportunity in the future, you must let the puppet masters of Sand Shinobi Village see what a horse-riding puppet army is. The so-called puppet army in Sand Shinobi Village is just a team formed by a group of puppet ninjas. Jingyi's puppet route is one person forming an army. Not only quantity, but also quality. As for how Orochimaru would study puppets, Jingyi didn't bother to think about it. Without the chakra of the reincarnation eye, no matter how much you study it, you won't be able to figure out the secret. Of course, if you, Orochimaru, come up with something good through this research, then Shizuchi can only say, you are awesome. Short of money? Now Orochimaru is worried because he is also short of money. This is no joke. Orochimaru's income is basically invested in base construction and the purchase of various equipment. Building a research base costs a lot of money, plus daily expenses and expenses for various experiments. Completely hollowing out Orochimaru. He really couldn't afford much money. I'll find a way. Now that the conditions are here, why bother with anything else? Just think of ways to make money. As for what methods Orochimaru will use to make money, it has nothing to do with Shizuchi. After leaving the border camp, Orochimaru rushed to Konoha as quickly as possible. It took others about 2 days to travel, but he successfully arrived in 1 day. In order to save time, Orochimaru is not afraid of exhausting himself. Back in Konoha, Orochimaru went straight to the Hokage office building. Teacher. The uninvited Orochimaru gasped slightly and closed the door. The third Hokage raised his head in confusion. Orochimaru, do you have a problem with me? As the third Hokage's favorite disciple, the third Hokage is most aware of Orochimaru's nature. Unless there is something important, the other party will almost never take the initiative to see him. I think I can try the research project that the teacher mentioned last time, but I need financial support from the village. I need money. There is a reason why the third Hokage likes Orochimaru the most as his disciple. In the eyes of everyone, Orochimaru is an all-around genius, with knowledge in all aspects and outstanding abilities in all aspects. He is a ninja who is completely developing towards the hexagon. Research project? The third Hokage was stunned for a moment. He once mentioned to Orochimaru that he hoped Orochimaru would shift his research direction to the direction of village development. People's livelihood is the best way. However, his suggestion was rejected by Orochimaru. Developing some daily necessities is not too difficult for Orochimaru, but he simply has no interest. Who would have thought that Orochimaru, who had refused without hesitation in the past, would change his gender today and actually bring up this project? Although I am curious as to why my disciple wants to take over this project, Orochimaru is willing to take over this project, which is what third Hokage wants to see. He knew very well how capable his disciple was. Since you are willing to take over this project, the teacher is very happy. This project has been ongoing, but the progress is not large. It is best if you can accept it. You don't have to worry about funds. No one knows what the third Hokage and Orochimaru talked about. Then Orochimaru entered the village's R&D base, and in less than a month, a household appliance refrigerator with the white snake logo was born. With the publicity in the village, it was quickly accepted by the villagers. I'll be a good boy. Orochimaru didn't go into electrical appliance research and development just to make quick money. Jingyi was a little confused when he heard the news. Ha ha ha. Jingyi couldn't help but laugh when he thought of Orochimaru struggling to find ways to make money. In order to make money, he even took on projects that he had previously despised and lowered his stature. What the hell is this inexplicable feeling of joy? Orochimaru, who wears a white coat and engages in electrical appliance research and development, is like Tsunade, who has become a gambling cessation ambassador, and Jiraiya, who writes dog abuse youth love stories, which brings a huge sense of contrast to people. Although it's a bit confusing, Jingyi feels that Orochimaru has done a great job and has made a refrigerator. Are other household appliances far behind? Not far away. Once these basic household appliances are available, daily life will definitely be much more convenient. If you work hard, you might be able to bring the ninja world into a development stage early. Facts have proved that it is not that the technology tree of the ninja world cannot be lit up, but that the people engaged in research and development have gone astray. As long as you calm down, these people will definitely give you a surprise. There is a not-so-funny joke in the ninja world. In the eyes of other countries, the people of the Kingdom of Thunder are all mountain barbarians, unreasonable barbarians. Even their brains are full of muscles. As a result, the Kingdom of Thunder has developed science and technology. But it far surpasses other countries. Jingyi couldn't figure out how these people had the courage to laugh at the people of the Kingdom of Thunder as barbarians with muscles in their heads. I hope Orochimaru will not never look back on the road of research and development for people's livelihood. After all, doing research and development is addictive, and the money comes quickly from doing these things, unlike his previous biological research, which almost always cost money. What Shizuchi didn't know was that Orochimaru was full of energy at this time. Full of strength, he is obsessed with the research and development of electrical appliances. In the past, he would hardly touch these things and look down on such projects. But now, he has been short of money and has tasted the benefits. Tsunade once again came to the side management place, but this time she came to the side management place with a mission. Kushina's mood is much better. Shizuchi poured Tsunade a glass of water. Episode 46. Where's the caged bird curse mark on your forehead? It's much better. Unlike the time when Grandma just left, there was almost no smile on her face. If the old man hadn't allowed it, I would have brought her to the camp and let you accompany her. Speaking of Kushina, Tsunade started numbing her claws. After transferring from Nine Tails, Kushina has been emotionally unstable. In addition, Nine Tails was unwilling to be sealed and kept making troubles, making Kushina physically uncomfortable for a long time, and Tsunade's heart was always in her throat. While worried that Kushina will not be able to get out of her sad state, she is also worried that Nine Tails will cause trouble. The sealing techniques of the Uzumaki clan have powerful suppression capabilities against tailed beasts, but Kushina is too small. What's more, Nine Tails is the most powerful being among the tailed beasts. Kushina was burned by Nine Tails' chakra more than once and hid in the quilt and cried. Just come out. She is a strong and perseverant child. As for the Nine Tails problem, when Kushina grows up, she will be able to completely suppress Nine Tails. No one can help with this kind of thing, Kushina can only rely on herself. By the way, how is the situation in the village? Don't mention it. Sina felt a headache. The old woman Koharu was jumping up and down when she moved to bed. She always hoped that the old man would transfer the rights of the medical system to her. After the old man refused, she started to exonerate Danzo. Shimura Danzo is not a good thing, and the same goes for Koharu, who is a member of the F4 Tendan, but they are not a good thing. Therefore, it is more reliable for Akamichi to take advantage of the situation. Shimura Danzo is ambitious, with a dirty heart and dirty hands. Needless to say, the third Hokage appears to be a shinobu hero, but in fact he does a lot of things for the black-skinned swallow. Go to bed Koharu and Mito Manabu are the same. They hold on to their rights and refuse to let go. They collude with Shimura Danzo in various ways. Not to mention now, in the original book, Konoha was in chaos and the third Hokage was dead. These two old guys can still fight against Tsunade for their own rights. Restrict Tsunade, the fifth Hokage, at every turn. Jingyi curled her lips. It's not surprising, everyone in this group of people takes their rights very seriously. In the past, the medical system was all in the hands of this old woman, but now it's in Akamichi's hands. She definitely not happy. The purpose of exonerating Shimura Danzo is just to force Hokage and get a helper by the way. You're right. Tsunade agreed with Shizuchi's analysis. As he said this, Tsunade suddenly laughed. Now the big fat guy Akamichi Tofu is placed in the position of assisting the Hokage. He wants to get down, but finds that he can't. Even if he is targeted, he can only cling to the medical system. If he knew that it was you who suggested Grandma to pick him up, he would probably scold you to death. If someone else were put in this position, they would definitely be extremely happy. But Akamichi is different from Feng, he is 100% unwilling. Unfortunately, it was no use if he didn't want to, so he was directly framed by Uzumaki Mito, and he pushed Akamichi Feng and the Inaraka butterfly family behind him towards Tsunade. In today's Konoha, Akamichi sits in the Hokage's auxiliary position and also holds the power of the medical system, which directly causes the F4 Tendan to begin to tear apart. This is Mito-sama's order and has nothing to do with me. Jingyi laughed unkindly. Anyway, he won't take the blame. Right. Tsunade's face suddenly became serious. The village has planned to send people into the country of rain to respond to the provocation of Sand Shinobi Village. A new war may break out in the ninja world. For the smooth replacement of old and new Jinchuriki, Konoha tolerated the provocation of Sand Shinobi Village in the kingdom of Kawa, and everything was dominated by the replacement of Jinchuriki. As a result, Konoha's patience made Sand Shinobi Village feel that Konoha was giving in, and the provocations began to intensify. Now that Kushina, the new Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, has stabilized, Konoha can no longer give Sand Shinobi Village another chance to make trouble. Provocative, right? My response is to suppress the development of Rain Shinobi Village. The third Hokage will not be embarrassed just because of a few words from Sanshuyu Hanzo. Rain Shinobi Village, there is no sympathy or tolerance between villages. There are only benefits. In response, Sand Shinobi Village defends Konoha and suppresses the development of Rain Shinobi Village. It is in Konoha's interest. As for whether Rain Shinobi Village and the Country of Rain are grievances or not, no one cares. It shouldn't start so soon. At this stage, they are just provoking each other and causing a little friction at most, but they are still far from the outbreak of a real war. In the final analysis, provocation is just provocation. Without touching the bottom line and without preparation, a war between the two villages will not break out easily. At most, it will be a small-scale conflict. Jingyi doesn't need to worry about war at all. Don't say that the war doesn't start as soon as it starts. Even if it starts, given his identity and paper strength, his task must be to stay in the medical department of the camp and be responsible for treating the wounded and taking care of the wounded, instead of rushing to the battlefield to fight the enemy desperately. Besides, how much money do you get in a month? And why do you fight so hard on the battlefield? It doesn't matter how hard others work, he won't risk his life for people like Third Hokage anyway. Stop talking about me. You should take it easy yourself. You say you are a medical ninja, but in fact, you are stronger than anyone else. Among the medical ninjas in the entire ninja world, Tsunade is the only one who takes the title of medical ninja and is more powerful than anyone else on the battlefield. Other medical ninjas do not dare to play like this. Even if they follow the team to the battlefield, they are just supporting. Tsunade, on the other hand, made herself the main force and let her teammates become the support. Ahem. Got it. What's that look in your eyes? Are you so impulsive? Seeing Jingyi staring at him with distrustful eyes, Tsunade gritted her teeth angrily, walked to him and bent down, and after their foreheads touched together, she gritted her teeth and said, I could do that before, but I can't and won't do that now. Grandma is gone. I need to take on a lot of responsibilities. The most important thing is you. What's wrong with me? Jingyi raised his hand and tried it. What did Tsunade eat recently, and why did she feel a lot bigger? Did this development come a little late? Stop making trouble. Tsunade pressed her hands that were noisy hard, hit Jingyi with her forehead, and said angrily. The identities of Naoki and I are very special. No one can do anything to us. The same goes for Kushina. She is Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. When she grows up in a few years, the village needs to think carefully about how to deal with her, but you can't. Damn the Hyuga clan. When she thought of the caged bird curse mark on Jingyi's forehead, Tsunade wanted to curse. In the past, she didn't need anyone to tell her that if there was a war, she would definitely be on the front line, but now Tsunade didn't dare to do so. Because behind her there are family forces such as Nashu, Kushina, Inalyuti, and most importantly, Shizuchi. Fortunately for others, Jingyi could be targeted at any time. The caged bird curse seal is too deadly. Only when Tsunade became stronger and the power behind her became stronger and stronger, the Hyuga clan did not dare to jump out and cause trouble. Even if the third Hokage wanted them to cooperate, they had to remain neutral. Yes. Damn the Hyuga clan. Jingyi burst out laughing. You're laughing your ass off, can you still laugh? After teasing Tsunade for a while, Jingyi stopped laughing when she saw that she was about to go crazy. How about playing a game? No, I'm not in the mood. Tsunade stood up and slapped Shizuchi's hand away from her chest. Stop making trouble, cooperate and untie this thing. Shizuchi signaled Tsunade to take off the forehead protector. Other members of the clan want to wrap their foreheads tightly, but you want to expose them instead, right? After being hinted by Jingyi's eyes several times, Tsunade was completely convinced. I could only raise my hand and pull off the forehead protector, but the force was a bit too strong. Because she didn't want to see the caged bird curse seal, which looked very dazzling. I got the forehead protector, are you satisfied? Tsunade was about to throw away the forehead protector in her hand, but the moment she raised her hand, she froze. Is it dazzled? I rubbed my eyes and took a closer look. It didn't seem like I was dazzled, there was nothing there. The curse mark on your forehead. How big is a caged bird curse mark? Where did it go? He raised his hands and hugged Tsunade's waist, picked her up and placed her on the table. Jingyi stepped forward and gave Tsunade a hint. Do you still remember when you were studying in the hospital and you asked me why I smelled so strongly of paint? Is there any? Tsunade, whose mind was a little messy, recalled it, and it seemed that such a thing happened. She asked in person, but Jingyi's answer was that the paint was stained on her body while painting at home, and she even pulled up her clothes to show Tsunade that the paint was indeed stained. Tsunade didn't think much and believed it to be true. So, the caged bird curse mark on your forehead was painted on it? Tsunade felt that her brain was a bit lacking. Isn't the caged bird seal of the Hyuga clan very domineering? Why did it disappear like that? Yes, it's painted on. It's impossible. Grandpa and second grandpa tried to break the caged bird curse seal when the village was founded. They all failed without exception. The old man also tried it. How did you do it? Is there a possibility? Jingyi pointed to his eyes, these eyes are not degenerate. Staring at Shizuchi's blue, star-like eyes, Tsunade fell into silence. If it's not degeneration, then it's evolution? Same as Uchiha's Sharingan? It's Children's Day tomorrow, I wish all my dear children a happy Children's Day. Take a look for more free gifts, there will be more updates. Episode 47. Third generation Kazekage meets Sancho Hanzo. Don't tell me, the Byakugan of the Hyuga clan can evolve, just like Sharingan. Why not? Jingdao said, I have gained a lot of strange abilities, and the caged bird curse seal that bound me has also disappeared. To this, I can only say that my eyes have evolved. Hateful. As soon as she heard this, Tsunade wanted to hit someone. I don't care whether your eyes have degenerated or evolved. The caged bird seal that bound you has disappeared. Why didn't you tell me earlier? I have been worried that the old man may be colluding with the Hyuga clan to target you. If I had known that your caged bird curse seal had disappeared, I would have been a fool. Asshole, stop rubbing. Konoha still has not given up the idea of sending people into the country of rain to provoke Sand Shinobi Village and Iwa Ninja Village. The third Hokage and others unanimously believe that this is a plan that kills two birds with one stone. Even if there is a small accident on the way, Sand Shinobi Village and Iwa Ninja Village will be fooled. The village responds to Sand Shinobi Village's information. It is unknown whether it will affect the plan if it is leaked by Shimura Danzo. Nara Lushin is worried about this. The influence has nothing to do with us. The current Zuludi is not from the same group as them, alas. Akamichi felt that the barbecue in his hand suddenly lost its aroma. What do you think Mito-sama thinks? He insists on putting me, a fat man, in the position of Hokage's assistant. He just puts me up. He also puts the medical system in my hands, making it clear that he doesn't want me to come down. Can you still get off? Nara Lushin said angrily. Now that the three Anar, Deer, and Butterfly's families and some branch house clans have sided with Tsunadeheim, do you think you can come down? Fatty, why am I so unlucky? I just want to stay at home and study some delicious food, and by the way, I can promote my family behind my back, that's all. The new Jonin class monitor has been decided? Since the establishment of the village, the leader of the Jonin class has always been a member of the Nara clan, but now this position is gone. Hokage assists, and the power of the medical system is in the hands of Akamichi. The F4 team will find ways to weaken the influence of Zuludi. The most obvious one is the removal of Nara Lushin Jonin's position as class monitor. You must know that this position has considerable power. It has been chosen, it is Sarutobi Matsuda. Akamichi sighed. Naralu Exion couldn't help but frowned, Matsuda? This guy becomes the Jonin class monitor. I'm afraid it won't do anything good. Who knows? Akamichi continued to eat the barbecue. The man was recommended by that guy Menyen, it should mean monkey. No, I just don't understand why Mito-sama keeps staring at me. Where is your brain? Nara Lushin gave him a disgusted look. No surprise, because it was what Danzo did that irritated Mito-sama, and Mito-sama didn't want Tsunade and others to be in an embarrassing situation after he left. And only if you go up, will Tsunade have a greater say. Then just, forget it, don't talk about this. The more Akamichi thought about it, the more depressed he became. He almost wanted to say, why not just let Tsunade sit in her seat? But when I think about it, if I really want to do this, the purpose is too strong. I need someone who can stand on the bright side and can compete with people like Third Hokage. So Akamichi Kaifeng was pushed out. The three Inakacho families are quite powerful, and there are many families who get along with Inakacho in the village. Akamichi Tofu and Third Hokage are former classmates, teammates, and disciples of Senju Tobarama in the second generation project. He stands on the bright side and brings stronger deterrence. At the border of the Land of Rain, Sancho Hanzo, the leader of Rain Shinobi Village, stood in a cave dug on the mountain peak, looking at the gloomy sky. A small black dot appeared on the horizon, and the small black dot gradually enlarged. Kazekage, you're late. Sanshuyu Hanzo sounded unhappy because the other party did not arrive at the agreed time, causing him to wait for 2 more hours. Waiting for 2 hours is nothing. What makes Sanho Hanzo angry is that third-generation Kazekage does not treat him as a person of equal status. Sorry, there are a lot of things in the village. Flying to the cave, stepping down from the iron sand under his feet, third-generation Kazekage explained lightly. Do you think I will believe this? Third-generation Kazekage doesn't care if the other party is angry. Hanzo, don't forget, it was you who approached me and wanted to cooperate with San Shinobi Village. I have already shared the information with you. Isn't this enough to express the sincerity of Rain Shinobi Village? Sancho Hanzo clenched his fists and tightly grasped the handle of the sickle with his clenched hand. If he hadn't licked his face and cooperated with San Shinobi Village first, he would have really wanted to treat third-generation Kazekage to some Sancho poison. Konoha wants to respond to San Shinobi Village's provocation, but it wants to drag Rain Shinobi Village into the water. Sancho Hanzo can only take the initiative and seek cooperation. San Shinobi Village is his chosen target. It can be said that Shimura Danzo used the village's information to make a deal with Sancho Hanzo, which has affected the direction of Konoha's plan. If Rain Shinobi Village and San Shinobi Village do not know this information, and Konoha sends people into the Land of Rain, then San Shinobi Village and IWA Ninja Village will actively respond to Konoha's provocation, and Rain Shinobi Village will also suffer unreasonable disasters for no reason. As a result, the intelligence was leaked, and seeing that Konoha was determined to drag Rain Shinobi Village into the water, Sancho Hanzo had no choice but to find a new way out. Third-generation Kazekage seemed unable to see Sancho Hanzo's anger. He put his hands behind his back and looked into the distance. Of course I see the sincerity of the demigod, so how does Rain Shinobi Village want to cooperate? If you want to use this information to prevent San Shinobi Village from entering the Kingdom of Rain, it's better for the demigods to stop talking. So what if Rain Shinobi Village rises? Are you the same size as the 5 great shinobi villages? How San Shinobi Village competes with Konoha is a matter between us, and we don't allow you, Sanshuyu Hanzo, to dictate. Damn it. Sanshuyu Hanzo really wanted to wave the sickle in his hand to show third-generation Kazekage some color, but the other party didn't take his demigod seriously at all. Tell him straightforwardly that he can either become a dog for San Shinobi Village and attack Konoha together, or sit back and watch the game between Konoha and San Shinobi Village. As for whether it will affect Rain Shinobi Village, who cares? Well. The chain on the sickle rang due to friction, and Sancho Hanzo said angrily, Kazekage, don't bully others too much. If I can find you, I can naturally find other people to cooperate, such as Konoha. Just be happy. Third-generation Kazekage glanced at Sancho Hanzo. I hope the demigod can still say something like this when he ends up in IWA Ninja Village. Falling towards Konoha? You can try it. Take a look at the free gifts to remind you, the updates will not stop. Happy Children's Day, dear children, may our childlike innocence remain and we will continue to be happy. Episode 48. IWA Ninja Village, they must be here to provoke me. Bastard, do you really think that my Sancho Fish Hanzo is made of mud? Black iron sand floats around the third-generation Kazekage. But third-generation Kazekage never meant to look back. He would not place Sancho Hanzo at his own level. Rain Shinobi Village is not qualified to choose, and neither are you. How you choose is entirely up to you. Cooperate? Why should Sand Shinobi Village cooperate with you? As for falling to Konoha, it is even more impossible. This will only make the IWA Ninja Village bet heavily. There is only one final result: Rain Shinobi Village and Rain Country have no choice and cannot escape. Humph. I hope you won't regret it. With those harsh words, Sanshuyu Hanzo rushed into the rain and quickly disappeared into the mountains. Faced with the threats and sarcasm of the third-generation Kazekage, Sanshuyu Hanzo has no intention of compromising. He does not want the village and country to suffer unreasonable disasters, but he will not bow to the five shadows. After all, once you lower your head, you can never raise it again. Such a result would be more uncomfortable than killing him for someone like Sanshuyu Hanzo, who wanted to be on an equal footing with the five shadows. I don't know what it means. At what level do you still want to be a Rain Shadow, and want to be on an equal footing with the five shadows? Are there options at Rain Shinobi Village? No. The game between Konoha, Sand Shinobi Village, and IWA Shinobi Village, Rain Shinobi Village is one of the victims. Sanshuyu Hanzo has no choice, unless he can change from a demigod to a real god. Without such strength, even obtaining part of Konoha's information would be in vain. At most, it would just make the situation more chaotic. Tsunade stayed in the camp for a few days and then returned to the village. Just as she said, the village sent a group of ninjas and entered the land of rain in a big way. Konoha sent people into the rain country in response to the provocation of Sand Shinobi Village. The provocative Sand Shinobi Village will definitely not show weakness, and will transfer the ninjas who jumped back and forth into the land of rain to the land of rain. Suddenly, the situation in the country of rain changed and the atmosphere became tense. The Kingdom of Rain borders the Kingdom of Fire, the Kingdom of Wind, and the Kingdom of Earth. Konoha and Sand Shinobi Village sent people into the Kingdom of Rain. The IWA Ninja Village, which was originally a melon eater, suddenly became uneasy. What do you want from Konoha and Sand Shinobi Village by sending people into the land of rain? You don't want to play provocatively like this. I really want to fight. You go to the Kingdom of Sichuan and go to the Kingdom of Rain to dance around. Yes, Sand Shinobi Village and Konoha's behavior is seen as provocation by the IWA Shinobi Village. If Konoha simply wants to confront Sand Shinobi Village, it can just start from the direction of Kawa no Kuni. There is no need to go to the Rain Country to bother. Konoha's plan is directed at Rain Shinobi Village, but IWA Shinobi Village doesn't think so. Is a small Rain Shinobi Village worthy of your Konoha paying so much attention to? I'm afraid the drunkard's intention is not to drink. An important meeting was held in the Tsuchikage office building, and soon, a ninja force from the IWA Ninja Village also entered the country of rain. For a time, the atmosphere in the Kingdom of Rain became full of gunpowder, and even the heavy rain that fell all year round could not dampen it. The result of a chaotic situation full of gunpowder is friction, and when there is friction, there will be fighting. The beds in the medical room that had been idle for more than half a year were finally put to use. If it weren't for the injured being sent from the land of rain, Jingyi almost forgot that he was the medical ninja in the camp. The situation in the country of rain is very chaotic, but it has not affected the border camp. After all, the main function of the border camp is to conduct reconnaissance and buffering, not to allow the people in the camp to rush to the battlefield to kill the enemy. To ensure that no enemy will enter the country of fire from the direction of the rain country, the camp's mission is completed. When the conflict intensifies and a war breaks out, the village will send additional people. It's just that at that time, the camp will become the war resources and logistics department. It's just that Konoha has never thought about fighting a war of aggression. If possible, the third Hokage would like to hold a few more 5 Kage talks to allow the peaceful development of the ninja world. Anyway, other villages do not have the innate advantages of Konoha. In terms of development, only Yunrin village can challenge it. Konoha has good inherent advantages, with a huge population and a large base of ninjas. Ninjas are also the most numerous among the 5 major ninja villages. Although Yun Ninja Village is working hard to catch up, it will take a long time to catch up with Konoha. This is still based on the fact that Yun Ninja Village has money. IWA Ninja Village is still the same as before. It has always been played in the explosion mode. There is no inherent advantage or economic advantage, so I will just explode the troops and play the Earth-style army. Kiri Ninja Village is still in the midst of internal strife. At least until 4th Mizukage takes over, it will be difficult for Kiri Ninja Village to launch an external war. At most, it will just join in the fun. Sand Shinobi Village, guarding the most barren land in the ninja world, has the greatest ambition in the ninja world. Perhaps because the land is too barren and the population is too small, Sand Shinobi Village has been drooling over the land of fire, and wants to pounce on it all the time to take a bite and have a full meal. The provocations from the country of Sichuan and the country of rain are the best proof. In addition to being driven by ambition, the biggest reason is that the development potential of Sand Shinobi Village has been exhausted and its development has stagnated. If you want to continue to climb, you need more resources, population, and money. There is not enough population, resources, and money to develop, causing development to stagnate and spin in place for several years, while the neighbor next door, Konoha, is getting stronger and stronger year by year. How can Sand Shinobi Village survive? Konoha does not mind the peaceful development of the 5 major shinobi villages, but Sand Shinobi Village does, and 100 Sand Shinobi villages are unwilling to accept such a situation. Small conflicts continued, but there were no large-scale battles, and the situation just stabilized. Although the smell of gunpowder was still very strong, no one of the 3 parties took the initiative to break the situation. Because I was afraid of being beaten by a group of people. The situation in the country of rain is relatively stable, and Jingyi is happy that the situation will continue like this. At least the conflict wouldn't intensify until he returned to the village. Once the conflict intensifies or a local war breaks out, the rotation becomes a fantasy, and all the ninjas in the camp will be left to continue to stick to their posts. At the end of the year, Jingyi and the same group of rotating ninjas embarked on the road back to the village. Everyone's faces were filled with festive smiles, because when they returned to the village, they would be able to have a lively new year with their families. Back. Looking at Konoha's somewhat dusty door, Jingyi felt that it had an inexplicable sense of intimacy. Being stationed in a border camp for a year was really hard. First go to the hot spring hotel, take a hot bath, then eat something, and go home to rest. Shizuchi didn't go to find Tsunade. As the end of the year approached, the situation in the Jonin world changed. Tsunade was very busy recently, and she might still be having a meeting in the Hokage office building at this time. I found a hot spring hotel and chose a separate hot spring pool. Jingyi took the ticket and went to the changing room to change clothes. I soaked my body in the hot water and took a long breath. Sure enough, it was more comfortable to go back to the village. It would be troublesome to take a hot shower at the border camp, let alone food. There was not much choice at all. After soaking in the hot spring pool, Jingyi closed his eyes comfortably and began to feel a little sleepy. After taking a hot bath, I felt much more comfortable all over. Jingyi rubbed his belly and decided to have a barbecue to soothe his internal organs. He had been busy traveling for the past 2 days and ate dry food along the way. I came to the barbecue restaurant owned by the Akamichi family, found an empty seat and sat down, and then ordered a lot of meat in one go. Babies, take a look at the replacement gifts, I love you. Episode 49. Kushina, stop crying. He would have a good meal and then go home and sleep. When it comes to eating, the Akamichi family knows it all. You can easily earn a lot of money just by making special barbecue. Such a high-income industry makes many families drool with envy. It's a pity that they don't have the ability of the Akamichi clan. I can only watch. Good. I picked up a piece of barbecue, dipped it in a little seasoning and put it in my mouth. Jingyi gave it a very fair evaluation. Fresh ingredients, top-quality dips and crisp and refreshing side dishes. With such a combination, it would be difficult for the Akamichi family not to make money. There are many yakiniku restaurants in Konoha, but only the yakiniku restaurant opened by the Akamichi clan is always full, and the Akamichi yakiniku restaurant still has the highest consumer prices. He picked up the roasted meat and was about to put it into his mouth, when unexpectedly, a petite figure rushed towards him. So bold. He actually wanted to grab food halfway. Jingyi raised his hand to stop the other party, but the first thing he saw was long red hair. Kushina? Jingyi moved the hand in front of her and hugged the little guy who jumped into her arms. Shizuchi, Grandma Mito is gone. Kushina threw herself into Jingyi's arms and choked with tears. How? Before Jing could finish her words, Tsunade snatched the roasted meat off the chopsticks and ate the roasted meat in one bite. Tsunade raised her eyebrows at him, it tastes good. Hey, long time no see. Shingshu grinned, pulled up the small bench and sat aside. Okay, don't cry, don't cry. Holding Kushina in her arms, Jingyi helplessly began to comfort the child. Just coax her, Kushina has been talking about you for a whole year. Giving Shizuchi a wishing look, Tsunade sat next to the rope tree, picked up the chopsticks, and put the meat on the grill. After not seeing Jingyi for a whole year, Kushina's tense mood finally broke out. The little girl cried very sadly. The clothes Jingyi had just changed made her chest wet. But he could only keep coaxing her, hoping that the little girl would stop her soon. Kushina, how did you know I was back? Seeing that coaxing didn't have much effect, Jingyi resorted to diversion. Suna, Sister Tsunade, said that you can arrive in the village today. Kushina answered with sobs, speaking intermittently because she was a little sad from crying. After taking a bite of the barbecue, Tsunade hummed and said, you didn't know to find us when you came back. You went to the hot springs alone to eat barbecue. Don't mention it. Jingyi looked at the sky speechlessly. Life in the camp is really uncomfortable. Even taking a bath is troublesome, let alone food. Uncle Hokage is the worst. He sent you to the border camp. As his attention began to shift, Kushina's mood gradually stabilized a lot, twitching while blaming third Hokage. Fortunately, there were a lot of people in the barbecue restaurant and everyone was sitting relatively far away. Kushina's words were not heard. Otherwise, someone might jump up and accuse them. It is even possible to report to the police department. During this period, the third Hokage was known as the ninja hero, and its reputation in the village was not unusually high. Look at you. You've lost weight. You haven't eaten well recently. Look at how delicious this barbecue is. Oh. Shingshu, don't eat so fast. It's all gone. Jingyi decisively pulled out the rope tree to attract hatred and divert Kushina's attention. Brother rope tree. Sure enough, Kushina, who was still crying at first, became angry when she heard this. How could you finish the barbecue by yourself? Tsunade, who was eating and drinking, immediately put down her chopsticks, and Naoki, who was holding a piece of meat, looked confused. No. This is my second piece of meat. The rest were eaten by my sister and have nothing to do with me. Kushina's irritable little pepper has already shown signs of her temper. As she grows older, she becomes more and more similar to Tsunade, which makes Nashu a little afraid of her. It's not me, Naoki explained in a panic, raising his hand to point at Tsunade, but when he raised his hand, he noticed Tsunade staring at him with a warning look, and for a moment he wanted to die. You are just a bunch of bad people, bullying me one by one. Okay, Shingshu is just hungry. Let's order some more meat. I happen to be hungry too. Let's have a good meal. After appeasing Kushina, Okinawan Shu blinked his eyes. Jingyi raised his hand and called the clerk over and added a lot of dishes. With Shizuchi's company and Tsunade's interruption, the rope tree attracted hatred, and Kushina's mood quickly stabilized. Jingyi also told them some interesting things that happened in the camp. By the way, now Shu is about to graduate. As we chatted, the topic shifted to this matter. Yes, after my graduation exam, I will no longer be a student, but a real ninja. Shinshu had a look of arrogance, and almost stood up, put his hands on his hips, and performed a backward tactic. I'm still a rookie after graduation. Tsunade struck mercilessly, your sister and I graduated from the ninja school when I was 6 years old. How can I compare with you? Now Shu shouted loudly, Jingyi didn't graduate until he was 10 years old. Why didn't you say he was a rookie? In fact, Naoki is not good at cooking, and his cooking is only compared to Tsunade. Among the children who are about to graduate, Shingshu is among the best in other subjects except for cultural achievements. Jingyi watched the two siblings quarreling in amusement. A smile also appeared on Kushina's face, but this smile was a bit gloating. Jingyi. While Tsunade was teaching Naoki, Kushina leaned against him and whispered, can I invite friends to your house tomorrow? I want to treat them to barbecue. Of course, I promise you won't disappoint our little princess. Hehe, Jingyi, you are so kind. By the way, who do you want to invite? Kushina counted the numbers with her hands. There's Sister Makoto, there's Xiao Huangmao, and by the way, there's Mei Hui. Pfft. Jingyi, who happened to be drinking tea, spurted tea out of his mouth. Is this little yellow guy, the one I know? Is the little yellow hair Minato Namikaze? Yes. Kushina smiled and said happily. In the class, he is the only one willing to be friends with me. By the way, there is also Mei Hui, but Mei Hui talks too little. You said before that Xiao Huangmao always attracts the attention of girls, so I think he is called Xiao Huangmao. That's right. When Minato Namikaze was a child, he was a sunny boy who loved to laugh. He had good looks, a sunny smile, and good grades in all aspects. Therefore, he attracted the attention of many girls in the class. Commit a sin. I'm just describing it, I'm not asking you to call others a little yellow hair. However, there is no such thing as a little yellow-haired character in the Hokage world. In addition, Minato Namikaze originally had blonde hair. After being called by Kushina for a while, he reluctantly accepted the name. Jingyi, wait for Meihui to come, please don't be angry with her. She is a very timid girl. Kushina looked up at Shizuchi eagerly. We are all celebrating Children's Day today. So Qianqian decided to add an extra picture for the treasures. Episode 50. Who knows the joy of being forced into a meal by a little rich woman? Jingyi laughed and said, of course not. Your friend is my friend. How could I be angry with your friend? By the way, why are you worried that I will be angry with this Meihui? Jingyi was very surprised, because he didn't know the child named Meihui, she was still a little girl. You'll find out tomorrow. Kushina still wanted to cover up. Jingyi smiled, rubbed her red hair, and gave her a few pieces of meat. Eat quickly, it's time to grow taller. Eat more meat to grow taller. After eating and drinking, Jingyi paid the bill, and the four of them left together. This. When he walked to the door of his house, Jingyi was stunned. Where is my home? The location is right. Could it be that I went to the wrong place? Kushina, who was lying on Jingyi's back, tilted her head and smiled. Jingyi, I'm pretty good, right? After you went to the border camp, I asked someone to demolish the house and rebuild it with a 3-story building. There are many rooms, I will stay here in the future. Why didn't you tell me about this? Jingyi turned around and looked at Tsunade in confusion. Tsunade pushed the gate of opening in disgust, walked into the courtyard, and said sourly. The little girl didn't allow me to tell you. She wanted to give you a surprise. I've been taking care of this girl, but in the end she didn't even lend me 200,000 taels, and turned around and built a house for you. I, Tsunade-san, am like an outsider. Shingshu was about to speak but hesitated. He wanted to say but did not dare to say, so he could only hold it in for life. But Kushina is different, because even if she says something that hurts her heart, Tsunade won't beat her. Of course you can't borrow it. Kushina Nunu's nose was small, she raised her face and said seriously. Grandma Mito said that she won't let me lend you money, and she won't let me give it to you, otherwise she will never come back. Tsunade. A heartless girl. Ha ha ha. Jingyi laughed. Tsunade was so angry that she wanted to kick him twice, but you still laughed. There is a saying that hugging the little rich woman's thigh does smell very good. The question is, am I, Hyuga Jingyi, a soft-hearted person? It seems like the little rich woman forced it into her mouth. I went to the gate of opening and took a quick look at the decoration of my home. No doubt about it, it is absolutely top-notch. This house costs a lot of money, no wonder Tsunade is jealous, no one can stand it. I looked at the environment and layout of my home. Jingyi asked, have you been living here recently? Tsunade collapsed directly on the sofa, with a look of despair, and waved her hand. Kushina doesn't want to go back. Shingshu also said that she always thinks of her grandma at home. Alas, the ancestral house has not been renovated for a long time. After the house here is built, we may just move here and live together. After Uzumaki Mito left, Senju's ancestral home became less popular. Not to mention Kushina and Nojiki, even Tsunade didn't want to go back to live there. So as not to touch the scene and hurt your feelings. It's enough to have 2 little ones who cry and feel uncomfortable all day long. She needs to be stronger, but no matter how strong she is, she will still feel sad when she should. So Tsunade moved over with the 2 little guys. It's good, thank you Kushina, I like it very much. Jingyi pinched Kushina's little face and said to her. If you're sleepy, go take a nap first, and I'll prepare something delicious for you later. After leaving the barbecue restaurant, Kushina lay on Jingyi's back and kept yawning. This will be very sleepy. Now Shu rolled his eyes and wanted to go out to play, but before he could reach the door, he found his sister with her arms folded in front of her chest, staring at him expressionlessly. So he walked upstairs with a sad face. Why should he sleep too when Kushina is sleepy? This isn't fair. Unfortunately, facing the strong Tsunade, Naoki didn't dare to push her, so she could only go back to the room. The kid made a mistake? Tsunade is not as strict with her younger brother Naoki as other siblings, and is usually more indulgent. He wasn't even allowed to go out to play. He must have done something good and made Tsunade angry. It's all that bastard Jiraiya. Tsunade gritted her teeth and cursed. That bastard took the rope tree around when he came back. More than 10 days ago, he went to the women's bathhouse, and 2 perverts fell from the roof. He almost scared several girls in the bathhouse to death. This matter has been brought to Hokage's office. Do you think I will be angry or not? Damn, is this exciting? It seems that Naoki has learned a lot since Jiraiya returned to the village. No wonder Tsunade strictly forbids him from going out. Who dares to let him go out after so much trouble? You are only 9 years old. Don't act like an LSP. The younger brother was messing around, and as a sister, Tsunade was angry and helpless. The old man asked me about my arrangements for the rope tree a few days ago, but I haven't replied to him yet. Not all children will be assigned to a ninja team after graduating from the ninja school, and will find a teacher to lead them on missions and grow up along the way. This needs to be divided among people, but now Shu does not need to be like this. Tsunade can find a teacher for him and take him alone. Originally, Tsunade was considering Orochimaru. As long as she asked, Orochimaru would definitely not refuse. But after discussing it with Shizuchi, Jiraiya was added. The result is good. Before we became master and apprentice, we were going crazy and causing trouble together. Angry, Tsunade's blood pressure soared and she wanted to crush these 2 bastards to death. Are you really optimistic about Jiraiya? Let Tsunade choose, she would definitely choose Orochimaru, not Jiraiya. How to say it? Thinking about what Jiraiya did, Jingyi couldn't laugh or cry. Although Jiraiya is lustful and has done a lot of dirty things that make people angry, as a teacher, I believe in his ability to teach his disciples. Mainly because his personality is very similar to Rope Tree. Follow Jiraiya, there is no guarantee that the Rope Tree will be favored by Mount Myaboku in the future. Naruto is just a low-end version of the Rope Tree. Naruto can be valued by Mount Myaboku, so there is no reason why the Rope Tree can't. If you can learn Sage Jutsu, your strength will definitely skyrocket. Let me think about it first. The more Tsunade thought about it, the more confused she became. Although she didn't want to admit it, she had to face reality. Jiraiya was the kind of person who kept growing step by step, and his upper limit was constantly being raised. Damn it. Can't this bitch be more serious? If you are so horny, don't take your children to peek and fool around. The more she thought about it, the more upset she became. Tsunade patted her forehead hard and exhaled a breath. What about you? Do you need to sign a leadership contract with Katsuyu? I have brought the scrolls. Psychic beasts don't help me much, and I don't want to become a pure medical ninja. Jingyi shook his head. He never thought of signing a psychic beast contract. If you can have sex for free, you might want to try it, but I don't know if Sage Jutsu is difficult to learn or how dangerous it is. You didn't learn Sage Jutsu from Daikatsuyu? This, ahem. Tsunade suddenly felt a little embarrassed. Katsuyu Sennin said I wasn't talented enough. I could learn if I wanted to, but it was very dangerous, so I gave up. Not talented enough? Are you sure? Why do I feel that you are a little guilty? I wish you happiness, not just today.